Hello, everyone. A logical day to all of you, and a very logical weekend to all of you also. So, very happy that you have a weekend ahead. But then you should be happy because you will be able to do all the pending work. So, let's see what we have to do today. Editorial Explain, May 26th, the first editorial of the Indian Express. Warmth in Sydney. What is warmth connected to? May be connected to the temperature, to the heat, to the climate, or warmth could be connected to the warmth of friendship, right? So, a warm welcome. And if it is not a warm welcome, if somebody doesn't want you there, then that person is going to give you a cold shoulder. So, a cold shoulder would mean you are not invited, and a warm welcome would mean that yes, people are happy to see you there. So there are small two idioms. So coming back to the article, it is but rarely in diplomacy that a major bilateral relationship of any country gets into a high gear quickly and stays there for a long time. Getting into a high gear. That has been the story of the relations between India and Australia. So when Prime Minister Narendra Modi traveled to Australia back in November 2014, it was the first such visit in nearly 3 decades since Rajiv Gandhi went to Australia in 1986. No Indian Prime Minister found the time to go down under. That was not too surprising, since Australia was not on the top of India's diplomatic priorities during the Cold War and after. Because the country did not think that Australia would be a strategic partner somewhere, right? It may be relevant for India's situation in the country, in the world. So nobody approached it. The differences over the nuclear issue made matters even more complicated in the 1990s. The Australian leaders kept pressing since the turn of the 2000s for a more substantive relations. Right? So this part is giving you that why India plus Australia were not on, say, they're not so very friendly, right? But now, after 2000, they said that they should come up with some substantive relationship. But an effective Indian response came with the high level political attention imparted by Modi's 2014 visit. So you can understand the first paragraph very decently, it has been said. The first line that a bilateral relationship of any country has grown very quickly, and that is between India and Australia. Initially, they were not together, but then after 2014, they got this political attention here. So if I mark the important line here, it would be stays for a long time, bilateral relation, major, and this high level or substantive relationship, this high level political attention was given by Modi's 2014 visit. Now, since then, the frequency and intensity of bilateral engagement at the highest political levels has been impressive. That means they have been growing this way. So, PM Modi chose to travel to Sydney despite the fact that the scheduled Quad summit to be hosted by the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese had to be cancelled because of President Joe Biden's preoccupation with a major domestic political crisis. So he was preoccupied, Joe Biden is preoccupied with this crisis. Still, the Prime Minister chose to travel to Sydney. Albanese visited India in March on a bilateral visit and will be in Delhi again to attend the G20 summit in September. Engagement at the ministerial and bureaucratic level has galloped ahead since 2014. The major point again. This has produced a deep and wide partnership covering defense, security, trade and investment, science and technology, and a deeper connection between the peoples of the two nations. Yes, the word peoples is correct because most of you feel people is already a plural of person, but peoples is also correct when you are talking about two distinct communities or distinct races. So besides the bilateral, India and Australia are members of the Quadrilateral Forum along with Japan and the US. For the first time since India's independence, Delhi and Canberra now have converging interests in Asia and its waters. See, waters again is a correct word. It stands for the water bodies. So few would have bet that a country of just about 27 million would occupy such an important place in India's strategic calculus. As Modi said in Sydney, the relationship is more than transactional and is rooted in deep mutual trust and respect. So, what we can understand from this paragraph is from the first, we understood that the strategic relation started from, say, 2014 when Mr. Modi visited Australia. And since then, it has been growing. So, engagement at the ministerial and bureaucratic level has galloped ahead since 2014. This was the first point, right? And then they have converging interests in Asia and its waters. Even this is correct. Then the relationship is more than transactional and is rooted in deep mutual trust and respect. This is also important. So you have these three things that you can connect together. Coming to the third paragraph. Tying all this together is a rapidly growing Indian diaspora that now forms more than 3% of the Australian population and will soon hit a million mark. So where is he going? He is going to Australia. ऐसे बहुत सारे लोग होंगे which you also may be knowing that they have gone to Australia. This is what he's saying. The people who move out from our country and live elsewhere, they are called the Indian diaspora. Right, and this is a word that we've done in the previous month, I think. So at least 8 to 10 times we have seen this word in our articles. So they showed up in large numbers to attend a rally in Sydney to welcome Modi. The Australian Prime Minister joined in the celebration. The living bridge between the two societies is likely to get stronger with the signing of a bilateral migration and mobility agreement that will facilitate easier movement of people between the two countries as well as the establishment of the new consulates in Brisbane and Bengaluru. So they are trying to make things easy, smooth for the people living there. So large diaspora, however, brings its own problems as seen in the attacks on Hindu temples allegedly by extremist Khalistani groups. The two prime ministers have signaled their shared understanding on not letting anti India activity by these groups derail the bilateral partnership. Derail means derailment is these are the tracks, and when the train goes off the track, ये train अगर ऐसे चली गई तो इसे derail कहते हैं, right? So now if their partnership is going on well, if they are um, if they are on a proper congenial grounds, so they will not let any anti-Indian activity affect their relationship. This is what they have come up with. That is a shared understanding. Shared understanding मतलब इसका कोई ऐसे written document नहीं है. So it is a tacit agreement between the two countries. You can say this tacit agreement. Tacit means quiet, right? So this is a shared understanding that they should not let these anti-Indians or anti-national activities of these groups prosper. वो नहीं होना है. But the challenge of managing the interactive dynamic between the divisions within Indian society and Australia's domestic politics is here to stay. तो ये जो थोड़ा सा difference है वो तो रहेगा ही. So it is here to stay का मतलब क्या हुआ? That it is going to be here. You can't get rid of it so easily. So the important point here will be that the living bridge between the two societies is likely to get stronger and with the signing of this agreement, bilateral between the two countries, right? That is one point. Then there's a tacit understanding that they are not going to let these groups derail the bilateral partnership. Clear? So putting these three paragraphs together, what do we understand? This partnership started from 2014, getting into high gear and still staying there, right? So, and they would want it to strengthen now. So they will not let anything anti-Indian or anti-national affect their relation. So these were 2, 3 points. We did not get many difficult words here, so it was an easy article. So India and Australia have a deep and wide partnership. यहाँ तक ठीक है. That is here to stay and set to grow. Right? It is going to improve more with the signing of that migration and और क्या था? Migration and mobility. Right? So this is set to grow, you can say. And PM Modi's visit underlined this. Underlined means emphasized. Right? So the meeting was cancelled, but still he went. So you can see that this has relevance or this is important for our Prime Minister. Right? So that will be the main idea today. And today we do not have anything on vocabulary right now. We have understood it in the paragraph itself. So that's all for today, but this is a small one. So as I have said earlier, that you need to read two good articles, again, two more articles from another newspaper. And I hope you are doing that. And if you're not, so kindly start it from today itself. That's all for today. Thank you and have a very logical day ahead.